All right. Welcome, everyone, to the AIE Women in Games and VFX live stream. I'd like to welcome Audrey and Autumn to our event. Thank you both for being here, and I'm really excited to ask you some questions and for you to share your wisdom with us. So let's start with Audrey. I would like you to introduce yourself real quick, tell us a little bit about what you do, and maybe some of the things you're working on. Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, my name is Audrey Meyer, and I'm a VFX artist at Wizards of the Coast. I work on Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the digital version of Magic the Gathering. And I make the VFX scene on the cards on when you play them, and I make a lot of visual effects for the companions, which are the little creatures that sit next to you when you play. And I do other little things here and there, but that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome. That's really cool. All right. Autumn, how about you? Why don't you introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me. So currently, right now, I am a VFX generalist with Troubled Muse Studios in northern Louisiana. Um, I'm not really allowed to say what exactly we're doing right now. I'm under NDA, but we are working on a TV show, and we're doing it in Unreal Engine. Um, so that's kind of what they put me on. And so that's what I do full time. And then, I gotta have my side hustles. I do a lot of 3D characters and 3D print work on the side.
Awesome. Well, you both have some really cool jobs. I'm jealous. um, so we talked a little bit about the projects you guys have been working on. How about we go through a little bit of your portfolios or demo reels? Talk a little bit about uh, what you enjoy working on the most in your projects, and maybe a little bit about what your day to day work looks like. Audrey, we'll start with you. We'll just bounce back and forth.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to start my demo reel, I can talk about, I just summarize generally what I do. Show, I work on things like this, like when you play a card, I make the VFX that make it swoosh in and out. I worked on this poison death VFX. Basically, just the spice that makes the game a little bit more fun than maybe playing it on paper, depending on what you think. I also worked on the One Ring companion for the Lord of the Rings set, which was probably that's probably my favorite thing I've done so far. It was a real experience to like work with such a well loved story and like IP and working with the Tolkien estate. It was just unreal for me. I couldn't believe I was doing it. So yeah, and I made the visual effects for the One Ring card there, and that was a real learning experience. Um, a lot of my effects are hand drawn, such like that one you just saw. Some of them are 3D models with different materials that I put together. Uh, a lot of what we do on the VFX team is hand drawn, and a lot of like hand animation is used, along with just like the particle system in Unity animating stuff for us as well. So yeah, it's very like kind of concept art stylized, I really enjoy working on it. I love stylized VFX and I love animation, so that's it's been really fun so far.
Yeah, my favorite expansion of Magic is the One Ring series, and it's absolutely gorgeous. My husband's actually playing it on Arena right now.
Oh,
So
that's
I've
great.
seen your VFX; they're fantastic. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about like what your day to day work routine looks like in the studio, or if you work remote, like what's your process going through these different projects?
Yeah, sure. I work remotely from home, and I get up and I go into my little office room, and we have like our stand up, and we talk about what we're doing, uh, and communicate a lot with other teams as well for my job. And then we're always working ahead, of course. So there's a lot of things I'm working on that I can't talk about, which is kind of fun. But like, yeah, I will after stand up. I just sort of like dive in, like I will hand draw or hand paint an effect if it's needed. We usually tackle like we'll trade off. Like sometimes we do like a card VFX, sometimes we pick a companion VFX, or other things that we're working on. So like there's a lot of variety in our projects, which is really it's really great for me. I like that because it's always something new, and with each card set, there's like as y'all are aware, there's a different theme each time, and sometimes there's even like a different art style. So it's been really fun to have that variety, like with each project. And it can take some effects take like a week or two, and some effects take like a month or more. It depends, but yeah, that's and we use Unity. If you're curious, we use Unity primarily, and Maya, and I use Substance Designer to make some of our textures. I use Photoshop. Yeah, so all of the industry standard stuff you would use for VFX, well, stylized VFX in Unity. Um, and yeah, I'm just poking around in those different programs and drawing stuff and doing research on YouTube for like how it looks when you drop something into a tub of water and see the bubbles come up. I had to research that for the One Ring companion. So yeah, it's a very mixed bag. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Uh, do you mind running through like what your stand-ups typically look like kind of break them down, like how your meetings go?
Yeah, sure. I can say for the arena art team, we're really organized, and our producer is great, and we have a lot of fun. But in our meetings, we tend to stay on topic, which is really cool. I'm really impressed. So the stand up, we have like the team I'm on, which is the VFX team. It's me and two other people. There's 2D, there's 3D modeling, and there's technical artists. There's animators. There's like a person who works with like the the front end, like when you open the game and it's like, hey, look, there's some packs you can buy. Like that person's on our art team. So we just run through. Everyone just calls out like, this is what I'm doing today. I'm going to work on the fire for the One Ring, and we will call out if we have any blockers or if we need help. So that's stand up, but we also periodically have meetings with each other and with other teams. For example, I work a lot with the game design team, which they're not the art team. They design they implement the mechanics in game, and that's really tied very closely with visual effects because for arena, our effects communicate a lot of things to the player. So the game designers will often ask us to like, oh, can you please have this explosion happen then, so that the player knows that this hits this card here, things like that. And so I think the teams that I meet the most with are probably game design and tech art, and it's fun. Everyone's great at communicating.
Nice. Well, thank you for that little peek behind the curtain at Wizards. um, All right, let's jump over to Autumn. If you'd like to show a show reel or your website or art station, that would be fantastic. And same thing, just kind of run us through like what kind of things you're working on. Maybe I know you're kind of under NDA right now, but maybe one of your favorite projects that you've worked on that you can talk to us about, and like what the kind of day in day out life looks like at your studio.
So while I am under NDA with Troubled Muse, I do think that I can say that the TV show we are working on is very sci-fi space-esque. If it's not obvious by the few images that are up on the website. um, and so a lot of our day in, day out, even though my job title is a VFX generalist, I do a lot of Maya modeling, um, specifically hard surface for like um, spaceships and things like that. And that's currently what I'm doing over there right now. As far as my portfolio goes, there is a lot of 3D character works. A lot of it is 3D sculpts that I have done for 3D print. A lot of it is with a company called Twin Goddess Miniatures, and another one I did for Crate 3D, I think is what they're called. Um, and yeah, I mean, I do have a couple of examples of some stylized textured stuff on there, and yeah, I'm just kind of all over the place.
Oh, you're good. You're
And
good. Yeah, there's a huge range of stuff on your portfolio. I absolutely love this character work. Like this, like kind of stylized but super intricate. Like everything, everything's going on at once. Um, yeah, no, it's fantastic. I wish I could model characters like that.
oh,
um,
thank you. Uh, but
Yeah, so you said you work for like a miniature company, or is this for like D&D miniatures or something similar?
so yeah, a lot of it is D&D miniatures. Um, I'll be honest, they um, the way that I've done stuff for Adam. Adam is his name with Twin Goddess Miniatures. Uh, he would give me a prompt like witch or give me a dwarf, make it Halloween themed, and then whenever I would do work for him, he would just give me that prompt, and then I'll give him a concept, and if he gives me the go ahead to do it, then I'll model it. A lot of creative freedom. He's a wonderful guy to work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love when people give you creative liberty with any of the projects you're working on.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fantastic. Yeah, let me look through these questions real quick. Let's see. Well, we covered where you guys work and what you guys do, but you both are graduates of AIE, and I was wondering if you could talk about your experience at the school, why you decided to study there, what you enjoyed about it, things like that. Just talk about your experience. That would be fantastic. Audrey, let's go back to you.
Sure. I found out about AIE. I think it was either at PAX or Comic Con, but I was working actually in for an online T-shirt store that was part of Amazon at the time. But I've been wanting to get into the game industry because that's what I've always wanted to do. So I took a big risk and was very lucky and was able to quit and then go to school at AIE, and I did game art and animation. Um, my favorite thing to do when I started was I really liked materials and I loved substance designer, and I liked the idea of like procedural and animated materials. It's funny. I tried doing like visual effects in Unity when I was going to school there, and I didn't like it. I was like, oh, there's so many little sliders and numbers and whatever. But I got really into materials and doing, I guess, what other kinds of VFX are. Like I put like physics on like joints. I did a lot of rigging. I thought that that's what I would go into. Um, I really enjoyed like the idea of like simulating things in engine, like cloth and hair and like procedural animations and procedural materials. And I didn't really realize, because I was completely uninitiated, that like VFX really fits into that. Like I also needed to do VFX like that. It's like under this umbrella of visual effects and kind of like technical art. And so we we had a really successful final project, my team at AIE. And after that, I ended up pursuing VFX in game jams that I did while building my portfolio. And I actually really liked it. It was really fun.
That's awesome to hear. Uh, yeah, no, I have always been very curious about like the whole VFX side of games. I'm still relatively new myself, and it's always kind of blown my mind what you can do with VFX in an engine. It's crazy, and I don't understand it at all. um, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Did you think there was any like challenges in particular that might have like helped you grow in uh, getting into VFX? Like, um, what am I trying to say here? um, like anything that kind of stood out to you in your experience at AIE that maybe pushed you in one direction or another? Do you think?
Ah, that's a good question. I think the people whose art, I mean, I admire just all of my classmates' work, but the people's work I was most drawn to, that I found most interesting, were the people who I went to school with, who were really into VFX and who were really into like technical art and shaders and materials. And so, yeah, I really, that inspired me, and I was really intimidated by it. So that's one of the reasons why it took me a long time to dive into it. That plus, just, I mean, I graduated in 2020, so there was like, there was some stress around that, well, which made it, I guess that was sort of also an obstacle into me being a little bit braver and just diving into something that was really kind of intimidating. That was part of it. Um, but yeah, I think mainly is that the stuff I thought looked the coolest and looked the most impressive to do was visual effects, technical art, stuff along those lines.
Yeah, I can't imagine graduating in 2020. That must have been a crazy ride.
The people at
um,
AIE did a phenomenal job. Just like we went home and then they set up the entire school to work online, and it wasn't set up like that before. Like all of they did it and it worked. I'm very grateful that they were able to do that so fast.
yeah, it is really impressive, like how quickly they were able to kind of swap over to the online learning. Um, yeah, I've only heard good things from past students that have gone through that. So I'm
Mm.
glad that we were able to do a decent job with that. Um, but yeah, let me hop back over to Autumn. You mind sharing a bit about your experience in AIE and some of the things that you enjoyed, maybe some of the things that were a little difficult but pushed you to make yourself a better artist?
Um, well, I'm gonna start off with why I attended AIE. So, my high school just so happened to have like the little AIE pamphlet magazine, whatever. It was like a book. And I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. I've never seen this around here before. Um, And then I saw that they had summer camps available. And I was like, well, let me just dip my toes in this real quick before I make a big decision. And so I went to the summer camp for those 2 weeks, and I ended up really liking it. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going here. And I went to AIE for the VFX and 3D animation for film program. And some things that I really enjoyed in that curriculum was the character modeling, of course, and then
Yeah, we couldn't tell that at all.
oh yeah, well, what gave it away? But and then and what storyboarding was another one that I was really into. Simply because it brought me back to like simpler times of being on my DSI, doing Flipnote Studio, if anybody remembers that. Uh, but but some challenges that I was presented with during AIE's curriculum with VFX was video compositing. I was really good at rotoscoping, but putting in 3D objects into live footage is not a strong suit of mine. um, and it's honestly something that I haven't really improved upon, simply because that's just not the route that I went with my career. But I do find the people that are able to do that to be really impressive, and I'm honestly pretty sure that video compositing is going to come up in my current job position, so I should probably look up stuff for that.
Yeah, I always love it when something that's not your strong suit comes up and you're like, "Ah, guess I got to learn some more
Mhm.
stuff." Yeah. Uh, would you mind maybe going through like what rotoscoping and like compositing are for some of our listeners that might not quite know what those are?
Okay, so let's say you're doing like a close up shot of somebody's face on camera, and this person has like a scar or some kind of blemish that you're not really wanting on their face. The act of rotoscoping is being able to mask out that specific scar or blemish, and then maybe replacing it with like another area of skin that closely matches to the color and the lighting of the area that you're trying to mask out, so that you don't see the scar or the blemish anymore. Another thing that rotoscoping is also used for is, say you have a film that's in black and white footage and you want it in color, you can make rotoscope shapes over someone's shirt, and you can say that it's blue or it's red, or even if the film is in color, you can change the color to be something else. And it's the act of making that shape line up with the shirt that's on the footage. Um, so it's kind of a little bit of animation in that regard to make sure that it is perfectly in line, so people can't tell that the shirt was ever a different color.
Okay. Yeah, that whole process has always like blown my mind, like how that's possible. Uh, it's crazy what you can do with some really technical VFX. Um, yeah. Let's see. So moving forward, I would like you guys to talk a little bit about how your transition from AIE to the game slash film industry was. Like, what were some of the issues you ran into? What were some of the successes that you ran into? Uh, what helped you the most? Like networking, how that went for you, um, communication within the industry. Just kind of run us through that whole process for you. Audrey, how about you start us off?
Oh yeah, sure. To be honest, it took a couple years. I had to work. AIE gave me the tools that I needed to like develop my portfolio, but I still had to develop a visual effects portfolio because I didn't really have one when I graduated. Because the 2 years I went there, I was discerning like what I wanted to focus on. So when I got out, I devoted my time to participating in game jams through various groups. Seattle Indies really helped me find people to jam with, and I did like a Brackies jam. I did just game jams. I would recommend game jams, and that helped me build my portfolio. I also a real like positive moment that gave me a lot of momentum was I did find a mentor who is in the game industry, and they really helped me like put what was supposed to be in my portfolio. Because if you look at my art station, I haven't added my most recent demo reel to it, but my art station is what Wizards hired me based on. And a lot of it was like very oh yeah, there's stuff that I did at AIE for our final project, which was the Faded Grove. That's a lot of material stuff. um, that that was just real nice, and I really loved working with my classmates on that. um, yeah, so I had that, but I didn't have like the bread and butter of VFX yet. I like didn't have any like, okay, like this is an explosion impact. This is like a magical sparkle trail, like just the stuff that for an entry level VFX position they're looking for. I had like more kind of weird effects, which were fun to work on, but I needed the basics. So my mentor really helped. Like I didn't even know that until I talked with them. So yeah, my mentor really helped me like focus and gave me feedback on just on the uh, like the punch VFX that's in there, and some I think there's some other things in there. But yeah, that was my experience. And then it took a couple of tries, by the way, to get hired at Wizards. The first time I didn't make the cut, or they didn't choose me for the position, but they told me to work on a few things and then try again next time, and I did, and then that's when they hired me. So it can go like that. So yeah, don't get discouraged if that happens to y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Um, you said you worked with a mentor for a little bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about like how you met your mentor, or like how you were able to link up with them, and how that mentorship process worked out for you?
Yes, it's like their name's Hadija, and they like magically came into my life, and I think it was either meeting them through a game jam, or it might have been through someone I knew from school. Honestly, I was trying to remember where, and I don't. But um, yeah, it was through one of the group activities I did. I think I must have been through a game jam, or through Seattle Indies, which I would recommend joining their Discord. Um, yeah, and I mean, I got the mentorship opportunity through networking, basically. So you never know what's going to come up, and there's people out there who are really passionate about helping people learn. And especially with VFX, it's really nice because there's resources online, but it's very hard to just get the very, very basic 101 like resources, and then it's hard to even learn the terminology of how to ask for feedback. What's, what's the burst, what's the timing, like how do I describe even what I'm supposed to do, like what's a dissolve, stuff like that. Yeah, I can't think of all the industry jargon right now, but it's just there's so many little pieces that it's really nice to have like a person to talk to and ask questions. But in lieu of that, another resource I used was on YouTube. It's there's a lot of great tutorials on there and on Skillshare. Um, and so, I mean, I would recommend that. But if you can find someone to mentor you, or do even join like a game jam where other people who've done VFX are, I would highly recommend talking to another person about it who knows more than you. It's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely say from experience, having that person who's like a senior in their field to talk to is unbelievably helpful when you're first starting out in your career. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Autumn, how about you talk to us a little bit about your transition from school to industry and how that looked for you?
Well, oh god. Mm. Let me I guess I should start with how I got my first job. So somebody who was working at my first company, Asteri, was actually attending the graduation at AIE, and they were looking to hire some 3D generalist, and me and another person stood out because we were the ones that had gotten the awards. And so I think it was like a week or so later, I get an email um, from somebody. I think her name was Meg, and they were like, "Hey, so one of our people was at the graduation, and we liked your stuff. Did you want to do an art test for us or set up an interview?" I was like, "Really? Okay." Um, and so yeah, no, and I'm not to the people watching this. I am very lucky. Um, I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate because I was applying to a lot of places and I wasn't really getting anything back. So I was like, this is my one shot and I better not mess it up. So I had the interview and then I took the art test and then I had like a secondary interview that was essentially me meeting the rest of the team, and then I had gotten the offer letter. And so the transition for me was immediate, but also I graduated for VFX and for film, never touched a game engine before, and this company hired me for games.
Gotta love
so
it.
so I was like, well, um, if somebody can help me learn Unity, and I did have people at the company help me learn, specifically a guy named Dylan Guidry. He was a really helpful guy. Um, and then the other guy that I got hired with, his name was Keith, and he was helpful as well because he had graduated for the games. Um, and then YouTube, and I used like Skillshare, and I think the other one, I can't remember the name of it. Udemy?
Yeah.
Udemy.
Oh yeah, that's a great resource. um, yeah, that's amazing that you got that like right off the bat. that, yeah,
No, I'm just
wow.
saying, it was like lucky. I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
right place, right time. Like,
right place,
yeah,
right
for sure.
time. hmm
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'm so
And
sorry. I feel so bad. I know it's not like that for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it works differently for everyone getting into this industry. So never feel bad for getting into it, honestly. Like, uh,
Mhm.
the your work speaks for itself on like if a company wants you, they want you. And if you're in the right place at the right time, like you'll get the position. Um, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Um, so moving forward, now that you're both actively working in the game slash film industry, um, do you have any uh, pointers or advice for anyone looking to get into it? Any advice for new graduates? I know we have minor and major production going on at the school right now, and people are getting ready to start applying to a bunch of studios. So, do you have any suggestions for them going forward from here? Either one of you can chime in.
Uh,
We're kind of
oh,
just going through
I just
it.
I just chimed in, so here I go. Um, yes, I would say just keep trying. Like it's I know it can feel easy to get discouraged, but just keep going because like I said, like I applied to a lot of different places and I applied to Wizards once and didn't get it, and then applied again and did get it. There are many times when I was like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. Should I even be doing this? Like, was this a mistake? Like stuff like that. But just keep going and definitely network. You don't have to go out all the time. Like go into big groups if you don't want to. But just at least like join the Seattle Indies Discord because they're so helpful and great. I think probably the most helpful thing I did was make sure that I was networking and that I was doing the game jams and meeting people. Um, it's great. It's great to have connections because the industry is like it's like small. Like everyone knows each other, which I'm sure y'all have heard. But it's true. Like I've just been out with friends and like met people who are I met someone who was a VFX artist at Netflix because they have a kind of game department, and that was random. Like I didn't expect that, and then they knew people that I worked with, and then they knew about AIE, and they also went to like the art school I went to before. So small world. So yeah, just network, and I would recommend just being really like kind and polite and ask questions. Try to stay positive and also express your concerns when it's necessary. Like express if you're like, oh my god, I need help. Vulnerability and stuff. All that stuff's good.
Yeah, definitely. I would say my biggest point of advice for any of my students is keep networking. Like I wish I did more back when I was in school. It's definitely one of the most important things you can do being a fresh graduate. Um, Autumn, do you have any words of wisdom for new grads or people who want to get into this industry?
Boy, do I. Um, the first thing is have a sense of humor. It goes a long way, and if you can get somebody to laugh, they're 10 times more likely to remember you. I don't know if that's an actual statistic, but it helps.
I think it
Um,
might be.
yeah. But another thing too is it's okay to have a niche. Clearly, I have my own niche, but it's also helpful when you're starting off to have the ability to wear a lot of hats. Not saying you have to own a lot of hats right off the bat. I'm just saying you might need to be able to pick something up real quick and put it on your head. But and that's definitely helped me out a lot uh, in terms of my first job, where I was hired to be primarily a 3D artist, but then they wanted they needed someone to do UI, so I started doing UI, and I started doing animation effects and all that sort of jazz. And then a third piece of advice is kind of adding on to what Audrey was saying earlier about not giving up, because there was a point in my career where our at my first job where they had to let the game department go. And so I had shifted from having like a full time job to having my side hustle of making characters for a 3D print. Um, and obviously I was applying to a lot of positions, but I never gave up. I just kept doing freelance work, trying to bulk up my portfolio, and eventually I did land something. So just don't get discouraged.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely say from personal experience, I graduated AIE last year, and here I am working with them. Um, it's rough in the job industry right now, but just keep trying, get those connections. Like that's the best thing you can do is just keep talking to people, and maybe you'll wiggle your way into the job that you want. Um, yeah, it's definitely an experience going through
Oh,
getting into the industry for sure, especially right now. But yeah, I think the biggest point of advice is network and don't get discouraged because it's real easy. So, so, yeah, thank you both so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciated talking with you guys. It's great to meet more women in the industry and connect with them. Yeah, no, thank you so much for being here and answering my questions and dealing with my ramblings of nonsense. um, yeah, I think we're almost ready to wrap up. So if we could bring up the AIE page, that would be fantastic. And I'll give a little PSA about our open house on the 20th. We're having one on both campuses, Lafayette and Seattle. Um, our open houses basically consist of uh, kind of a crash course into uh, all of our programs. We have four different programs. We have game art and animation, VFX for film, game programming, and game design and production. All of our instructors are extremely talented individuals and will have multiple of them on campus to answer any of your questions and walk you through what we do in the daily life at the school. Um, I will put a little plug in for a couple of the intro courses that we offer as well. If we could pull up that page. I myself teach the intro to game art for the Seattle campus, but we have intro courses for a pretty big age range. It's high school and beyond, basically, for all of our different programs. Um, there basically a few weeks of some intense training into what we do in the classroom, just to give you a little sneak peek of what you'd be learning if you come to the school. Um, yeah, I think that's all I had for that. If you do have any questions about any of our programs or about the school, you can contact us on the school's website. Um, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Everyone here is extremely nice and helpful. Take it from me as a prior student. I love all of the staff that I work with. Um, yeah, I think that's about all I had, except for you two. Do you guys have anywhere that we can reach you, like a LinkedIn profile where people can ask questions if they want to look you up?
Yeah, y'all have my LinkedIn, and feel free to share it. And you can message me or connect with me, and I will respond to you.
Awesome. I'll probably be doing that right after this.
Oh, my preferred name does not show up on my LinkedIn. Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I didn't know. But yeah, legally I am Victoria, for those wondering. But my name, I like to be called Autumn.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you both for sharing everything that you shared with us tonight. And I think, unless we have any closing statements from either one of you, we are ready to wrap up this live stream.
Thanks for having me. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. All right. Cool. All right. Well, that wraps everything up for tonight, I believe. To whoever joined us, thank you very much. And we hope to hear from you over at the school. Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank y'all. Have a good one.